Let's get into it. Sold Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here. We have Donald Trump slamming Gavin Newsom. I'm going to show you what he said about 4 hours ago, and then I'm going to show you something big that he just announced. Another big jab at Gavin Newsom once again. Just about 20 minutes ago, he released this. We're going to start with this Trump clip. Then we're going to jump over to Gavin Newsom's response. Then we're going to get someone who is with Fox News who's reporting that there is a criminal level of negligence when it comes to California in these fires. Gavin Newsom, Karen Bass are the main culprits that people are pointing towards for not being prepared after being told for years to get ready for this type of thing. Let's start with Donald Trump, and then we're going to jump over to the other stuff.
You should bail out blue states that you believe are being mismanaged. Given your criticism of Governor Gavin Newsom, are you willing to work with him, and do you believe that federal aid should be provided to California for as long as it takes?
Well, it's very sad because I've been trying to get Gavin Newsom to allow water to come. You'd have tremendous water up there. They send it out to the Pacific because they're trying to protect a tiny little fish, which is in other areas, by the way, called a smelt. And for the sake of a smelt, they have no water. They had no water in the fire hydrants today in Los Angeles. It was a terrible thing. And we're going to get that done. It's going to finally be done. I got it done from the federal side, and he didn't want to sign it, but it's not going to happen again like that. There's no reason. Can you imagine? You have farmers that don't have any water in California. They have plenty of water. They don't have a drought. They send it out to the Pacific, and it's crazy. So what's happening in California is a true tragedy. I know those areas very well. I have many friends living in those houses. That is a true tragedy. Nobody ever thought. I mean, virtually Beverly Hills and areas around Beverly Hills are being decimated. The biggest homes, some of the most valuable homes in the world are just destroyed. I don't even know. You know, you talk about a tax base. If those people leave, you're going to lose half your tax base of California. This is a true tragedy, and it's a mistake of the governor, and you could say the administration. They don't have any water. They didn't have water in the fire hydrants. They don't have water. And yet they have, the water comes from, you know where? Up north. And it comes down at levels, they give millions and millions of barrels of gallons of water that they have, and they send it out into the Pacific. For the Pacific, it's like a drop, it's nothing. But for California, it would take care of the whole state. So what's happened is a tragedy, and the governor has not done a good job. With that being said, I got along well with him when he was governor. We worked together very well, and we would work together. I guess it looks like we're going to be the one having to rebuild it. But what happened there, I don't think there's anything that I've ever seen quite like it. And the insurance companies are going to have a big problem because you're talking about big, big dollars.
Mr. Cheney, Biden pardoned Liz Cheney. What's your message for President Biden? He said he
Oh, I thought it was ridiculous that he did that, but we have more important things to talk about. Liz Cheney was, she lost in the Republican Party, as you know, in her state, by the biggest margin in the history of a politician running for Congress. She lost by like 42 points. Nobody's ever lost like that. So I don't care about Liz Cheney. I care about these people.
Man, so, you know, Gavin Newsom cares about the smelt fish more than Californians. The losing the tax base, that's happening at a record amount already. So many people from California have jumped over to Texas, jumped over to Florida. They're just looking for, you know, good weather and some sanity. So they found it in those places. And, you know, he is correct. It is the admin's fault as well. 100%. You know, I already reported on it in another video, not the one before, because I've been giving updates constantly about this whole thing. And Biden actually, they slowed down the amount of controlled burns they were supposed to do, which, you know, we watched Greg Abbott stand up against Biden. I can't really fault Biden in this whole thing. I watched Greg Abbott stand up against Biden when he wanted to secure his own borders. If Gavin Newsom knew that there could be a fire to this extent and the Biden administration wants to, you know, not do these scheduled controlled burns that are going to help mitigate this type of thing from happening, he could have stood up to him. He could have said no. He could have said, we're going to do it anyway. He could have said, listen, I'm going to make the decisions here. He could have passed an executive order on a state level. There's many things that he could have done that he decided not to do because Biden, sharp as a tack. Got to listen to what Biden has to say, of course, 100%. Well, I know for a lot of you who watch every episode, you may have seen this clip before, but I just want to show it because this is actually Gavin responding to what Trump just said, and then we're going to move on to bigger news.
Attack you, blame you for this. Even asked this question, but the president-elect chose to attack you, blame you for this.
One can't even respond to it. I mean, people are literally fleeing. People have lost their lives. Kids lost their schools. Families completely torn asunder. Churches burned down. This guy wanted to politicize it. I have a lot of thoughts, and I know what I want to say. I won't. I stood next to a president of the United States of America today, and I was proud to be with Joe Biden. And he had the backs of every single person in this community. He didn't play politics, didn't try to divide any of us.
See, and this is why I like to show these clips from CNN to Fox over here, because he's saying Trump chose to politicize it. Someone literally asked him a question about it. And the reason that that reporter asked the question is because that reporter probably knows that Trump has been talking about this since 2018, and he's been slamming Gavin Newsom about this for years. He's been saying since 2017, 2018, 2019, you need to get this thing under control. You have water, you have access, you can be handling this. Why aren't you handling this? You keep coming to us for federal money every single time this happens. You need to get this in check. She probably knew that and said, let me ask Donald Trump about this. She probably also knew that this is Gavin Newsom's fault. So why not ask the question? And Gavin Newsom actually has the nerve to turn around and say, there's, fire here and kids and schools and churches. It's like, yes, all things that you allowed to happen. These are all things that you decided, no big deal. Don't worry about it. I'd rather be on the campaign trail supporting Biden than supporting Kamala Harris. Just so you guys all know, I know I showed this before, but just in case you didn't know, this is the water source that they're talking about. This is the thing to do with the smelt fish. This is what they're doing. All of this water could be used in a very productive way, but is not being used whatsoever. Let's move on to Zachary Levi and Jesse Waters talking about the criminal level of negligence. I like what this guy has to say in this clip. Listen to this.
Is not doing his job, and he joins me.
Of course. Let me slow it down. You guys know me. I'm getting better at, realizing though.
Actor Zachary Levi said Newsom is not doing his job, and he joins me now. All right, Zach, what's going on out there?
Hey, how you doing there? Listen, I wish I could explain it. I think the first thing I wanted to say, though, most importantly, is I think we should be holding every single person in Southern California, everybody affected by these fires, we should be holding them up in prayer, like just sending as much love and light and support as we can to everybody who's being affected right now. This is the most devastating fire in Los Angeles history. My family's from Ventura, California. I grew up there most of my life, and then I was in LA for 15 years. This is very personal. The Thomas Fire ravaged Ventura in 2017, and it was so gnarly, and they're still picking up the pieces from that fire. And so this is it's catastrophic. It's looking at the news. I'm in Austin, Texas, and I'm watching the news. It looks like I'm watching a post-apocalyptic war film. It's so sad. And ultimately, why we've ended up in this place, I mean, I've been hearing you on your show leading into the segment. I mean, I think you're hitting a lot of it on the head. This is just incredible mismanagement, incredibly poor leadership. I would go so far as to say that it's criminally negligent, because, I mean, Gavin Newsom has been either the governor for 5 years or lieutenant governor prior to that for 8-9 years. Some of the worst fires we've ever had in California under that watch. He clearly knows that the biggest problem that we suffer in California are these fires, and by the way, the mudslides that follow. And for them to do essentially not just nothing, but worse than nothing, when firefighter budgets are being cut, when they are specifically intentionally not doing the work that could be done to avoid these problems or to be able to effectively serve them when they are happening. We are losing, I mean, I think it's something like millions of acres of feet of water runoff from rain and snow every year in California. As you pointed out, I think the smelt have something to do with that. That's an acre foot of water, by the way, is about 330,000 gallons of water. And there's millions of those that are just rolling off into the ocean when they could be captured in cisterns. We'd have an ecosystem of hoses and safety measures that can keep all of these homes and people in these homes safe. And for some reason, they choose to do none of that. And at some point, it goes beyond just whoopsie. At some point, it goes beyond negligence. There's something that's almost criminally intentional about this. Like, what are they doing? I don't know.
So you mentioned criminal intent and you mentioned criminal negligence. Because California can build anything. I mean, look at Silicon Valley, look at Hollywood. If they want to do something, California can do it. But you haven't built a single reservoir in 10 years? You're just letting water run into the Pacific? Because of what, a fish that no one's heard of? Does anybody care about the smelt fish?
Absolutely not. Ask all those people whose houses are on fire. They do not care about the smelt fish. I'm talking about from the super rich to the people who are uninsured and have no idea what they're going to do after this absolute calamity craziness. No one cares about that fish. But California was just being California and doing California things. They're worried about having a weight czar who's like, oh, there's cake-related incidences, and some people are cutting the slices of cake too small. They're just worried about that. They're worried about being pregnant and being like, my child's already decided that they're going to be non-binary. They're just worried about things like that. They're not worried about things that actually matter. They're worried. It's just a state of virtue signaling. And when something real happens, the virtue doesn't pay the bills. The virtue doesn't protect your house. And now they're starting to realize, they're starting to realize what's actually going to happen now. So again, what they're talking about when it comes to the smelt is this. This could easily be hooked up to fire hoses or be running into some kind of silo, gathering up. There's just so many different things that they could be doing. The damage, as you saw while that clip was running, has exceeded $50 billion in damages. That's wild. And we'll see what happens. Oh, and then the last thing. I'm so sorry, guys. Trump switched his tune. He does not want to work with Gavin Newsom. I'm sure he will, as long as he's the governor, but Trump has decided to call for Gavin Newsom to resign. One of the best and most beautiful parts of the United States of America is burning down to the ground, its ashes, and Gavin Newsom should resign. This is all his fault. 100%. Trump usually goes on little rants when he's on Truth. Not this time. He kept this very concise, very serious about this, and I 100% agree he should be resigning. I think he should have resigned so long ago. He should have resigned when he said, hey, everybody has to have electric cars here. And then everybody got electric cars. And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, don't charge your electric cars. We don't have the power to deal with this. Why'd you tell everybody to get electric cars? Oh, I don't know. He should have resigned when $24 billion that he put into homelessness, after he said, I'm not putting any more money into homelessness. I'm not getting any more until these people on the local level come to me with a plan. He said, then I'll give them $1 billion. All of a sudden decided give them $24 billion. And a year later, they can't tell where the money went or if it even had an impact. That means the state just ate $24 billion of taxpayer money. He should have resigned then. He should have resigned after he said Biden was sharp as a tack. And then he had to drop out of the race because he was not mentally fit. No matter what they say, we all know what happened. He should have resigned then. There's so many times Gavin should have resigned. I hope this time he actually does. Just take Trump's advice. Trump is doing great things. He's taking over Canada. He's taking over Greenland. He's probably going to throw Mexico into the mix. Keep the wall up, but still take it over. I can see him doing something like that. Trust me, Gavin, this guy, he knows what he's talking about politically. You should just take this as a sign to actually resign. Just go ahead. Nobody will be upset with you if you do this. You are America's Justin Trudeau. So like Justin Trudeau, you should also resign. Everybody will be happier. 100%. Anyways, guys, that's what's going on with the whole fire. Trump is clearly angry because he's been ranting about this for almost 10 years now, and nothing's been done about it whatsoever. So hopefully, pray for people in California. Oh, also, Paris Hilton's house burnt to the ground. Fergie from the Black Eyed Peas, her house burnt to the ground as well as many, many others. I mean, aside from people who clearly deserve it because they're evil propagandist type people, there's also a lot of regular good people who are also affected by this whole thing. So pray for those people, and like, subscribe, turn on the notifications, helps us tremendously. And other than that, I'm out.